All right, I think we'll get going. It seems like everybody's here. Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for coming. This is the Thursday, April 23rd, 2020 meeting of the Winchester Select Board, and I think we'll just kind of get right into things. We have a few items on the agenda, and I see that Mr. Sayre and Ms. Gallup are here, so probably makes sense for us to take up the First Congregational Church steeple clock request, and then move into the gift acceptance for the fire department, the state emergency, and the financial plan. So welcome. I think, Lisa, there is a staff recommendation on the steeple clock request.
Yes. Yep, the recommendation is to approve $12,000 from the hospital gift account for the project.
Great. Thank you, and I appreciate the patience of the Congregational Church. I know that you've been working on this for some time. I think that on the town side, there was just a confluence of events that needed us to kind of look a little bit deeper into our finances to resolve it. So thank you for being patient. And I don't know if there are any questions from board members at this time before we move for a vote. Seeing none, I'll take a motion to transfer $12,000 from the hospital gift account to the First Congregational steeple clock request.
So moved. Can I amend
You might
put
have a better
into
motion than I do.
Okay. I would just, when we talk about the steeple clock, can we just throw in the word town owned, because it is a town owned clock, and that's why it's fine for us to be doing this, and I'm happy to do this.
Second.
All in favor? I'll take a roll call vote. Susan?
Yes.
Mariano?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
And Jackie?
Yes.
And that's a yes for me, so it's unanimous, 5-0. Thank you so much again, and as I'll say too, don't feel obligated to stay on here. I do appreciate your screen backgrounds, though.
Yes.
It's helpful to see some spring and better weather out there. So please let us know if there's anything else that you need on our end to make that transaction process.
Thank you. On behalf of the church, I just want to say thank you from Dick and me. You thanked us for our patience, but we want to thank you for your thoughtfulness and the time that you took to take into account the whole town's finances and the context of the situation we're in. So we really appreciate to have leaders like you. So thank you very much for the $12,000 and for all that you're doing. Dick?
I appreciate the work of the town to do the research and to be part of the process of repairing the clocks. And we will be back to you as progress continues.
Thank you very much. The next item, I think I see also Pete Lawson and Jay Gill on as well. Just to maybe they can update the board on some of the work that's been going on at Morocco. And I first want to say thank you to Jay and Pete for kind of jumping on project over there that we've been wanting to get to but haven't been able to for a while because there were budget issues, but also kids in the school, and there was never really a good time to start that project. I don't know if Pete or Jay or both of you want to talk about it, but I just wanted to express my sincere thanks. I think you guys get things done, and we tend to not even know about it, and I know it requires a lot of extra heavy lifting on your part during a difficult time. And Pete or Jay, I don't know if there's other projects there that we're kind of looking at down the line, or maybe Lisa, I know that we had a bunch of things lined up, and I think that DPW is taking a look at the school facilities right now and trying to get as much done now that we know that the schools are going to be closed for the rest of the year.
So let's see.
Can you
Jay,
hear
I've
me?
unmuted you. You're unmuted.
I'm sorry. I was trying to unmute my phone. I appreciate it. Thank you. Getting a lot of echo here. So yeah, we started working on the bathrooms a couple of weeks ago. It's been difficult just because of the whole distancing stuff. But last year we had made Lynch a priority to do some dress ups with our operational abilities because that was more of a focus for the school department. Now that the direction of Lynch is in a path, we're going to be taking on more of these type of projects for the Morocco School. We are working in all the buildings, catching up on maintenance such as tile repairs and little painting projects, but we've been able to take on a little bit bigger project in this one area and try to at least give a facelift to some of the bathrooms to get an idea of what it will take to progress through all of them in the building. But in general, we're taking advantage of this time to get through all the buildings and do a lot of maintenance to the HVAC systems, grease belt, motor repairs, things like that. But we're still plugging away, and appreciate your email last night.
Thank you. I don't know, Lisa, if you had anything else or on that particular issue or.
Yeah, I think just in general, I wanted to continue the conversation that the select board started a while ago about trying to move forward with projects in Morocco. And I mean, given the very recent announcement that the schools are going to be closed for the remainder of the year, it's kind of an opportunity for the board to start that conversation again, and maybe get an update and give some direction in terms of items that you'd like to prioritize. I know that, one of the things we had wanted to do, I remember talking with Susan and Amy about having a community meeting at the schools, and then we're talking about having more walkthroughs, and obviously that's all been put on the table. So there was a lot of sort of follow-up work that we had wanted to do that was sort of pushed off because of the current situation. So I think we can try to do this virtually. I know Pete's been sending me some great pictures of before and after of the great work that they're doing in the schools. But certainly if the board has any thoughts now that, because I don't think we were thinking when we last talked about this, that the schools are going to be closed for the remainder of the year. So given this opportunity, if you have some direction for the staff in terms of what you're hearing or what you're thinking about in terms of the former conversation.
Great, thanks, Lisa. I don't know if there are questions from board members on that item in particular.
Yeah, it's sort of a balance. From my point of view, it's kind of a balance between the things that are maybe big ticket items and that we would like to do sooner just to get the benefit of those while people are still using Morocco, and some of the things that would just really immediately impact the teaching and learning environment, like floor coverings or rugs or carpeting, in that category, and maybe like the roof or new windows in the former category that are more expensive. And we're really looking to DPW to kind of really help guide that decision making, because they're right there in the building on the ground. I'm very glad to hear that they're taking a look at the bathrooms. Enough said.
So I also wanted to add to the conversation, when we were last talking about maintenance items, we actually weren't talking about that the schools will probably look different and there'll be different policies when people get back, whether it's the students will be sitting further apart, whether it's there'll be more cleaning stations. I remember, Pete, when we walked through the building, there was a lot of there's a lot of people that donated nice things to the schools, but they were like, pillows and blankets and things that were more difficult to wash, things that could, hold on to, the virus or other things in the future. So I feel like we almost need to kind of go back and look at everything with a different lens. We're just starting to do that with town hall. We're having that conversation with the library about what it looks like, when things reopen again. I think the schools are, I think we have to kind of sort of relook at everything that we're talking about for the schools in that context.
Great. Thanks, Lisa. Not seeing any more questions on that in particular. Thanks again to Jay and Pete and your team. We'll look forward to continuing the conversation about Morocco and the rest of the school facilities too. It's not just Morocco. Can
I ask one question? Sorry to come in so late. I just was thinking when we went through the tour, Pete, you mentioned the boiler as being like one of the high priority issues. Where are we with that? Is that something that you're considering right now, or is that one of those higher ticket items that we need to wait on? So I know that was a concern for you.
Pete?
We can talk about it another time too. I know that was of high concern when we were there, so I just wanted to get a status update. But no rush.
I think, Amy, what we'll do is we'll have Lisa coordinate with Jay and Pete on kind of a shorter term proposal on some of that stuff. Bigger ticket items, as Susan was saying, like a roof for a couple $1 million is something we're not going to be able to do right now or in the near future. But some of those other things, the boiler is a bigger ticket item, but it's we've really had trouble through the winter keeping that thing going. So it seems like we just did that, but put those boilers in, but it was 10 years ago, and things just don't last like they used to. So it'll be worth it to kind of put a package together and see what we can do. But Lisa, I don't know if we want to jump into the financial plan. Any questions about that?
I just want to backtrack on a really quick agenda item, which is the request formally by the fire chief to use hospital gift account money for the dryers, and say that that Home Depot actually donated the dryers to the town. So we'd like for the board to move forward with accepting the gift of the dryers to the fire department. And then they're able to use the funds to purchase 2 washing machines at a discounted price. So they've used 1,200 of the 2,000 requested. And instead of just getting 2 dryers for 2,000, they've gotten 2 dryers and 2 washing machines for 1,200. So I need the board to thank.
That's great news. Thank you so much for making that happen. And if Chief Tustin was instrumental in that as well, we appreciate it. It's good to know where there's an extra washer and dryer for us to use in town too. So that's good. So unless there are other questions, we'll take a motion to accept the gift of the 2 dryers. Is it just a transfer from the hospital gift account then for the washers then, Lisa? I don't know if we need to be specific about it.
We probably should amend it because I think we were specific about the dryers. So I think amending the vote to say that we'll spend $1,200 on 2 washers for the fire department, and then also accept the gift of 2 dryers from Home Depot.
So I guess I move that we authorize use of the spending of $1,200 out of the hospital gift account for 2 washers, and also accept with gratitude the donation of 2 dryers from Home Depot.
Second.
All in favor, I'll take a roll call vote. Susan,
Yes.
Mariano,
Yes.
Amy,
Yes.
and Jackie.
Yeah.
And it's yes for me, unanimous, again, with appreciation. I don't know if we have the ability to connect with someone over at Home Depot to express our appreciation, but be happy to send a letter, and have us all sign it to the degree that we can do that. But thank
Yeah,
you.
that'd be nice. That'd be nice. And commend.
Lisa, can we give a shout out on social media too from the town page?
Yeah, sounds good.
Well, if we have a direct source, I don't know if we really want to spread that around publicly. We want to keep that going at Home Depot without anybody knowing about it.
Just Home Depot, I think would be.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. So,
I'm doing a home renovation. I need like the direct source.
right. I know. It was very very generous of them, and it really helps us with other priorities. So that's great. And also, just to quickly mention, we also got a request from Roger Wilson, one of the chairs of the TTAC, the Transportation and Traffic Advisory Committee, and about the Waterfield bridge construction and the crosswalk over there, and while we're in construction, to kind of connect the bike path a little bit more intentionally there. So I think Jay and Beth and our team are kind of evaluating whether that option works, and maybe reaching out to Tool. So just as an update, that it kind of came from TTAC at the last minute and is a little bit above my pay grade. So I think staff will kind of give us a recommendation in the coming weeks on that while that project is being managed. I don't know, Lisa, if you have, or Mark or Jay, but anybody has any more on that.
Yeah, just that I did meet with Roger and Ben from TTAC last week and discussed that particular option. And I think the sketch looks good, but I think passing it on to Tool and having them make a recommendation on the feasibility of it is the right next step. And I'll let you know when that happens, or I'll let you know when they've come back with a recommendation.
So I have, so last time, I think this was brought up, we met, probably last time we met in person, and Tool was there. And I know there was a concern on having two crosswalks that close to each other, and possibly losing a parking spot there. So my comment on that is, I think, with the construction that's going to happen, the crosswalk across Waterfield at the corner is going to be further away because it's going to move further into what is today Mystic Valley Parkway. So I'm not as concerned about that, the distance between the two crosswalks. There is, we have crosswalks that close to each other, for example, on Church Street at the intersection of Wildwood, for example, and just even closer than here, there's another one in front of the church there, and we even put a rapid flashing beacon there. So I'm not concerned about that. The loss of parking spots, of course, we never want to lose parking spots if possible, but we're gaining a lot of curb length because of the renovation. So it might be possible to move some parking spots. But I think it's very important to have this crosswalk. We have a lot of people who are using the Greenway, and that will help. But also a lot of people who use the post office, and to have people have to walk 75 feet one way, cross, and walk back 75 feet. What ends up happening is folks are going to jaywalk instead. So I think it makes sense to have that crosswalk there. So anything that we can do to make it possible, and hopefully if it's a raised crosswalk, that would also be nice to slow down traffic in that area. So that's my that would be my input. And if if Tool and our engineering department can do whatever possible to make it happen. I think that would be good.
Yeah, I would just add that, and you know, I suspect Roger might have expressed this himself, but the idea of having that curb cut so that the bike path was a continuous path through town has been talked about for, since the bike path was first discussed. So I can understand a certain level of frustration among people who actually do ride bikes and are trying to make bike riding an alternative to car driving, that you really can't get off that curb right at that spot. So again, I think for a lot of the reasons already mentioned, it makes sense to try to do this now.
Great, thanks. And I think that we'll get an update on that. And sorry, I just, some landscapers just showed up at my house, so I'm just going to be kind of moving away from very loud leaf blowing. Lisa, do we want to jump into the financial plan conversation?
Yeah, so let me just give you a general overview of the arc of the conversation we're having. So a few variables. One is that no one actually knows what what exactly the state aid will come in as. I think that there's a lot of great educated guesses that are out there. There's a lot of like sort of talk about what the direction's going to be. And frankly, when we do the different scenarios, so state aid is, we'll call it roughly $11 million. It's 85% of that is Chapter 70. Thank you, Stacy, for pulling up all these numbers really quickly. And there's some question about unrestricted local aid versus Chapter 70. So, for example, if we assume that there's a 20% drop in revenue and therefore there's a 20% drop in state aid, it's a big difference to say that it's going to be a 20% drop in, $11 million, which is, over $2 million, or a 20% drop in the unrestricted portion, which is less than 2 million. So it's $500,000, and that Chapter 70 might be held harmless because of state priorities, right? So the high variability of trying to figure out if we're going to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars or multi-millions of dollars has sort of put the, just even fiscal year 21 in flux. So I think right now we're kind of worst case scenario planning, but we're hoping that in the next few weeks we'll get a lot more direction as to exactly what the revenues are going to come in as. A lot of theoretical conversations right now. So that's one item. The second item is that we've started to talk about a 5-year plan versus a 3-year plan. And when I say 5-year plan, I don't mean 5-year projection. I mean, like the 3 and 5 years are related to the number of years that the override would cover. So a 3-year plan would be, fiscal year 20, 21, 22. A 5-year plan would include 23 and 24. And that's just beginning to think about whether there might be an economic downturn or something that might affect our desire or ability to go out for another override for another couple of years until the economy recovers. So just starting to look at those projections and see, see what it looks like. And I think part of the consideration of that could be that, some of the things that were, planned for various departments to be in year 1, year 2, or even year 3 might actually have to wait till year 4 or year 5. But again, all of this is just on the table. All of it's sort of theoretical right now. And the state aid is really the big part of the conversation. And I will say, in some ways we're very lucky that state aid is important, but not as, it doesn't play as huge of a role as it does in other communities where, they're looking at 6 or 10 or $12 million in variability. I've lived through it, so I I understand when uncertainty happens and it's a big part of your budget. So we're in a pretty decent shape, but we have a lot of different objectives. So we want to maintain a good quality school system. We want to have town departments that are sufficiently funded, especially to deal with any possible resurgence and emergencies like the one that we're in. We want to make sure that we're not drawing down our reserves. So these are all considerations. I would say that one of the big concerns right now in terms of budget variability is actually our recreation department. Our recreation department is fairly unique in that they have a building and they have significant after school programs, which for the most part has been great in terms of revenue generating and also providing resources for the town. But unfortunately, it means that we're looking at a $700,000 gap between revenue anticipated and revenue received just for the rest of this fiscal year. And that means that we would have to probably deplete the reserves for the recreation fund, and then potentially looking at going to town meeting to get more funds to fill the gap. And then there's also the need to look at next year's budget. Next year's budget assumes summer camps, it assumes after school programs. Certainly, I think that one tactic is to ramp up very strongly for the fall, but I don't think any of us have a crystal ball and can tell us exactly where we're going to be. So our new director is coming on board in a week. He's already been meeting with town staff and working with our interim director, Jim Sullivan. But we're looking for some creative minds. So if there's any folks that have any thoughts about what a new recreation department looks like, in light of the social distancing, that's, I think, going to be part of our future to some degree. We certainly love your thoughts and feedback.
Thank you, Lisa. And I know that we were getting a little bit into the meat of the budget last week and the week before. The Budget Advisory Committee is still meeting, and Lisa has been meeting, probably several times daily on forecasting over a longer period of time. The town has been reluctant to come up with more of a plan over a long period of time. And I think that it's probably the best thing for us right now, even though it's quite a bit more work for the Finance Committee and for Lisa. So I just want to say thank you. Hopefully in the coming weeks, we'll have a better idea of what things look like. And we can, kind of be, briefed and have more of a full working session with the school committee and FinCom to see what hard decisions we have to make. I don't know if there are other questions from board members right now.
Well, I don't have a question, but I sort of bears repeating that we are not in a normal situation. A lot of the assumptions, maybe all the assumptions, I'll stick with many of the assumptions that we had about the town's financial prospects going into planning this budget year have been radically altered. No one expected this pandemic, and no one really is in a good position to predict how long it will take to get out of any recession that might occur. So, I'm with Lisa, and we need some creative thinking. We need to be thinking longer term, and not sort of not backing off from our goals, but to really have a sense of being realistic.
Yeah, and Lisa, I just, on the recreation department side, happy to help. I think there's probably opportunities to think innovatively about how we're delivering programs too. I'm kind of working through this right now because I'm on a board at our lake house in Pennsylvania, and we run an athletics program, very a lot of the stuff is very similar to the rec department, and we're going through the same process. So happy to share. We have a tennis center as well, things like that that are kind of, we have a lake with lifeguards, things like that. So there may be some synergies, or we can at least talk through some ideas together.
Great.
Amy, one of the things that we had been talking about, and I think we just got sidetracked with other objectives for a while, is the rental of the fields. And, you know, when we look towards the fall, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of teams that are looking to make up for lost time. So it's the kind of advertising piece as well as the rental piece to make sure that our fields are available, but that we're also generating the revenue that we had anticipated, especially with the new turf fields, to make sure kids are on it and it's being used. So just another item for us to kind of evaluate.
Yeah, absolutely. Just on that piece, is there any updates? I know that we had talked about this a while back about, you know, knowing that people aren't on the field. Is there any opportunity to do some maintenance or some upkeep? So I didn't know, Lisa or Jay, if that's, I know that there was kind of, we felt like we didn't need it at this time, but I'm just wondering, like, just so that when we do look to the fall and start thinking about rentals, that our fields are in tip-top shape.
Yes, I don't know if Jay can comment more like that, but certainly the fact that the fields are getting a break right now in itself is kind of a maintenance improvement. Because the last time we looked at the fields master plan, the fields weren't really getting a break because of so much demand. And I think one of the things that Jay and I are talking about is whether it makes sense to bring on the temporary help that we usually have during the summer to help with parks and playgrounds. So we're still evaluating that, because we can catch up on maintenance items, which is different than, you know, trying to, you know, get things ready for actual public use. So I think we're a little bit of a talking and planning stage, and not exactly sure what the summer is going to look like. But I think, you know, right now we're trying to take advantage of the good, you know, well, today's the good weather, but it's been kind of a strange April. But we are trying to figure out how to get a head start on a lot of items without, you know, so giving the false impression that, you know, we're going to be 100% ready to open soon. So, I mean, it's you know, give you an example. So I think we're trying to hold off on our, like, prepping the tennis courts right now. I can't remember the amount. I think it might be like $20-something thousand, but some of these just don't make sense to do at this moment. Not that we don't want it to be ready to go if you know, things reopen, but my feeling is things are going to reopen slowly, and when they do, there's going to have to be some rules and policies in place. We're going to have to work with the Board of Health. So right now it kind of makes sense to just hold off on some of these expenditures and then rethink how we're going to do it.
Great, thanks, Lisa. If there aren't other questions on the financial plan or expenses, was there anything to update on the state of emergency? We kind of initially established these meetings to respond on a regular basis to needs that arose through the week. And I know that, again, it's another thing that you've been on top of on an hourly basis. And also just want to extend, you know, appreciation from the board to the Board of Health, who has really been managing this pandemic in really with a lot of leadership, and it's been really excellent, and they've been very responsive, and I think our residents see that as well. But Lisa, I don't know if there's anything to update us on or anything you need from us.
Yeah, so the nursing homes, long-term care facilities remain the biggest issue, I think, not just for the town, but really across the Commonwealth and across the nation. So there's been a lot of conversations with Lieutenant Governor, with fellow town managers on what we need to do. There's been some great ideas, some setbacks in terms of making sure that testing is accurate, bringing in the National Guard, helping to bring in resources, working with. I know our Board of Health has been in contact with the facilities in Winchester on pretty much a daily, if not more, basis, whether it's talking to their directors or talking to their medical directors to make sure they have the resources, the protocols, the guidance that they need. So, that continues to happen. In terms of the May 4th date that was previously set for stay-at-home advisory, I'm hearing rumors that the governor is going to discuss that date, probably extend it this week. But again, these are all rumors. Like we had heard the rumors about the state coming up with a decision on the end of the school year, like a week before it actually happens. So, but May 4th is coming up. There's a lot of questions that businesses have for myself, for the Department of Health, about what exactly they should be doing on May 4th. So we're working with them as much as possible, but we're also potentially anticipating that that date is going to move. So stay tuned. And I think we're a small enough town that our guidance has continued to be reach out to us, myself or Jen, and we'll help you as much as we can.
Any questions from the board members on anything?
Yeah, I have a quick question for town manager. I know this probably isn't released yet, as you mentioned, but are you getting a sense that whether there might be an extension and what the links might be, if they're talking maybe just a few days or possibly more than a week? Do you have any sense about that? Maybe not.
Yeah, I don't have a sense. Then, like I said, we're hoping we're going to find out more today or tomorrow. So that's sort of like the rumor mill that's going around. So we're all watching the governor's press conferences and trying to see if there's any more guidance.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question more locally. Do you have anything you can update us on about town meeting?
Yeah, so the remote participation legislation that's just for representative town meetings like Winchester. I talked to Senator Lewis last night, and he said that will be on the docket next week. So hopefully they'll move on that fairly quickly. And then it's then if it's something we want to do, then it's about implementation. The town clerk was still doing research on the equipment needed, or the software needed to do that. It's fairly expensive, so she's looking at a couple of options and trying to see which one's most effective. So hopefully, in a week or so, we'll have both the ability to and some options as to how we want to proceed.
Good.
I do know that other towns are moving forward with it right now. I was talking with another town manager who was taping his budget presentation for a town meeting. So lots of videos and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as the election, are we still able to send absentee ballots to anybody that requests them over email?
That's my understanding. We have been doing that, and we'll continue to do that.
Okay. Yeah, given what we just heard about what happened in, was it Wisconsin, where several people got coronavirus since the state there didn't allow for mail-in voting. I think we need to make sure that we have as much as possible, lower the barriers to absentee or mail-in voting.
And it's an opportunity for us too, just to see how increasing access to those ballots increases participation amongst voters. At the municipal level, we've tended to have low turnout, and it's hard to drive residents to the polls when there's nothing from their perspective that maybe is pushing them there. So it'll be good for us, and I think that we're if there are some reduced or managed social distancing guidelines that allows residents to go to the polls, it'll be interesting for us on a Saturday to see how that impacts turnout as well. But I know that at the state level, they've been just overwhelmed with legislation and trying to just take each piece of the puzzle as they go. But our delegation's been extremely responsive and informative to us, so it's been as good as we can expect. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, then I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, I'll take a roll call vote. Susan?
Yes.
Mariano?
Yes.
Amy?
Yes.
And Jackie?
Her line is muted.
There she is. Jackie, and we'll, so yes for me. I'm not hearing Jackie right now, but we'll just, I think she's gone. So we'll do 4-0 then on that vote to adjourn. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. And we will see you on Monday.
Monday.
Thanks again. Thank you, Lisa and Patty.
Yep. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Hi, thanks.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.